All right, guys, dry fire. Today we're going to talk about dry firing, not get too in depth. We'll have another video on this and go over some more things that you can be doing. All right, concept of dry fire. Okay, there's a lot of principles that you can work on, from your presentation to getting the gun out of the holster, doing magazine changes to your trigger squeeze, that you can do right in your home, in your backyard, in a safe environment, that you don't need really anything besides the gun to start doing this. There are still some more old school people that will say that dry firing is going to damage your gun. 1911s, you can see that sometimes, but you're looking at more common guns, kind of like, you know, your Glock, SIG, HK, M&P, CZ, those types of guns, the more common ones that you're going to see. You can dry fire those all day long. You're not going to have any issues with your firing pin or any of your sear or anything like that. Everything's going to work just as it should. Okay. Two things that dry fire is not going to help you with, though, and it's important to understand that, because you can dry fire perfectly at your house and you go to range and you're still not shooting right. Okay. The recoil control, because when you're dry firing, the key word there is dry. There are no rounds anywhere in the vicinity of the gun. You are working solely on presentation, trigger squeeze, nothing else with the gun itself. Okay. And when you go to a range, you go take your first shot, the gun's going to recoil. It's just a gun. That's what it does. So learning how to control that recoil and get your gun back on target is something that you will need to shoot rounds for to learn. And then you're going to have your oh shit moment. And what I say, or what I mean by that, is you can dry fire 100 times a day. You're going to go to the range, especially if you're new to shooting. You're going to take your first shot and it's going to go like this. It's going to be really loud and you're not used to the jerk reaction of the gun. And all your fundamentals are just going to go away. All right. So those are the two real things that you can't get from it. Start dry firing though, get to the range, work on some things, focus on the fundamentals of what you were doing while dry firing, and it will start to move into when you are actually shooting. Okay. So don't forget that. Don't think that just because you dry fire a bunch means that you can go out to the range and go shoot and become a grandmaster in USPSA. It's just not how it is, right? Again, though, we want to build the muscle memory and learn these things now so that when you do go shoot, you're a little more confident in yourself. All right. Equipment. What equipment do I need if I'm going to dry fire? I see these Mantic commercials and these other dry firing tools and these lasers that I can attach to the gun. They're all cool in theory, and I'm sure they work. I've never used them myself, but I will die on this hill. You don't need them. Okay? I'm not saying that they don't work, and I'm not saying that they're not useful, but you don't need it. You just don't, right? You go spend a lot of money on a pistol, and then you have to turn around and go spend another $300, $400, $500 on some piece of equipment that really I don't think is beneficial enough for where the price is, right? If it was like a $50 thing, you just throw it on real quick, cool, but I don't need to change out my bolt or put special ammo in or do anything like that. So you don't need it, okay? There's still a lot of training value you can get with just the gun, all right? Another huge component to dry fire, I don't need to set time apart to go to the range or to a buddy's house or wherever I can that I can shoot. I can do this in my house. I can do this in my backyard. I can do this whenever. If I'm in a hotel room for something, I bring my gun with me. I can dry fire there safely and save myself some money. I don't need to, I got to go buy 1,000 rounds of ammo. Hopefully I can find some ammo and just go blow through all of it, and I'm still back at square one, right? You can get the 1,000 reps right in the comfort of your own house without all that. You don't need to, I have 2 kids, a wife, 2 dogs, so there's not a lot of time that I can always just hop up and go to the range and go shoot and dedicate 2-3 hours to range time. What I can do though is take 30 minutes and come into one of the rooms, get my gun, clear it, and just dry fire and improve that way. Another thing you don't need right now, you don't need a holster and you don't need your CCP, right? I'm not carrying my gun anywhere, and I've heard people say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing this once I get my holster so I can work on pulling from a holster or I need my CCP because until then I can't even carry, and that's just stupid. All right, it's straight up, it's just stupid. The 3 things I'm going to show you today: you don't need a holster, you don't need a CCP because you're not going outside and doing anything. You're staying in your house and on your property, in your backyard, wherever, and you don't need that. Eventually, yeah, you're going to need a holster so you can work on that portion of your dry fire, but right now you don't. Okay, 3 things we're going to go over: your grip, punching your gun out, making sure you have even light, even height, and the wall on your trigger. All right, those 3 things, that's all we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about right now. So, first thing, take my gun. I'm going to clear it. I'm going to visually and physically inspect the chamber and magazine well. Gun is cleared. I'm good to go, right? I already knew the gun was cleared, but we treat every gun like it's a loaded gun, so I need to re-clear it. All right, now it's in my possession. I know that a round's not going to, grow legs and hop in my gun and do anything, so I know that I'm safe with the gun I have. Okay, so your grip, right? I've gone over grip in a different video and the fundamentals of that. If you want to check it out, you can go find that. So we're not really going to dive into that. All I'm going to say for your grip: when you pull from, it doesn't matter if it's IWB, OWB, whatever the holster is that you're carrying your gun, at some point your support hand needs to link up with your strong hand. I keep my hand at my chest. It's just what I do. May not be what's preferable to you. Figure out what works best. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right, but my hand comes to my chest. So when I draw my gun, my hands meet. Okay, so first thing I'm thinking of is grip. Is my grip right? If my grip is not right, where did I mess this up? What do I need to adjust? Did my pointer finger come out too high and it's not where it sits? Is my wrist wrong on my presentation? Whatever it is, be your hardest critic. Okay, because you do something stupid at a range or whatever, the judge is not going to give a rat's ass if you say, "Oh, sorry, judge, it's because my grip was messed up when I went to take my shot." Your gun, your responsibility, right? So I have my grip. I'm checking my grip. Is my grip right? If my grip is right, then I move to part 2. My punch. I'm punching the gun out. Okay? I'm not death gripping it. I'm not locking my elbows out or doing something. All right, but I'm punching the gun out. My even lights, even sights. I've talked about this. I'll post a video or a picture. I don't know where yet because I haven't done it, but there'll be a picture as I talk about what I'm describing. Even height. Front sight of my gun is level with the rear sights. I'm not canted up or down. Okay? You want them to be as flat as possible. Good way to tell that is if I'm dipping and I don't see my front sight, or if I'm too high and I see the top rail or the top of my slide. It's incorrect. Something really cool about red dots is they're very unforgiving, and they will tell you immediately when you go to present, if you don't see that dot, you're wrong. Something was wrong about your punch. Okay? Third thing, the trigger, right? If you're not comfortable enough that you don't want to squeeze the trigger in your house, that's fine. There's something that you can still be working on though, and it's identifying the wall on your trigger. Right? So it's really springy right now. Okay? If I squeeze this anymore, it's going to go bang. Round just shot. Okay? Why it's important to know where the wall of your trigger is. When my hands meet and I go to punch, my trigger finger is going to go on the trigger and I'm going to pull it to where the wall is. So that once I'm presented all the way, all I have to do is that last little bit, round was shot. Okay? Reason why this is good: when your hands meet and on your way as you're presenting and your finger gets there, you have time to adjust. Is my finger barely slipping on the trigger? Do I need to move it over a little bit? Whatever you have to do, you have that half a second on your presentation to get it where you need to. And then the second you're there, you check to make sure everything's good and you can take that shot. All right? So 3 simple things: my grip, my punch, and my trigger finger. Okay? Start them off one at a time. All I'm going to do right now is just get my grip. Is my grip good? Okay? Figure it out. It's just something that just takes time. You have to get used to it. You have to get comfortable. All right? And I'm going to start punching. Okay? So I have my A. A is good. Now I'm going to do A and B. So here, punch it out. All right, A and B is good. Now I can work on the next thing. Trigger finger, getting it just to the wall. You don't have to squeeze if you don't want to all the way, but get it to the wall. Round's not going to go off. You're not firing your gun. Just right there to your wall. Okay? Again, just get comfortable with it. Like I said, we'll do a part 2. We'll get into some more things that you can start doing for your dry fire that's going to help you tremendously as a shooter. But I'll close with this. If you're going to carry a gun, the responsibility that you're taking to carry a gun is massive. This isn't a Spider-Man where the uncle is, great responsibility comes whatever. This is a big deal, okay? Train with it. There's no excuse to say you didn't have time to go to the range, you didn't have the right equipment, you didn't, whatever. If you have a gun and you are going to carry it or bring it with you or do whatever, it's your responsibility, all right? So the excuse that you don't have all these things is out the window. If you're not doing dry firing, you probably shouldn't be carrying, all right? Stay safe, guys. We'll see you in the next one.